Welcome to the Synapse Philosophy Group, everybody. We are on our masterpiece, yours and mine, and BJ Palmer's and DD Palmer's. It's an amazing book so far. Our masterpiece, volume 39, BJ Palmer, 1961. Is that what year this one is? This was his last book, and there's a lot of meat in here. And Alan has graciously agreed to do some reading tonight. So I'm going to let him begin.
All right, so top of 35. One thing our father discovered and wrote about, which was the most important, was the vertebral subluxation, the great all-important interfering intermediary with its four abstract elements. One, a malposition in relation to its juxtaposition with its corresponding above and below, creating two, an occlusion. Three, producing pressure or constriction upon certain nerves going to certain organs. Four, reducing carrying capacity, manifesting a reduced function at organic periphery of these nerves involved. As a result, certain factors were essentially to be investigated, studied, not by the assistance of competent electronic technicians, but by one who consistently kept his mind glued to the overall triune living factors: innate in brain, innate flowing through the nerves, innate reaching periphery. I think there's it's an interesting point to make there, that he's saying we're not having outside science people come in and look at this. We're making sure we're staying focused on the living entity that we're studying here.
We don't need anyone else to prove what we already know, and we're researching is what you're exactly right. And he is, we are chiropractors. We are, he did all the science, so we don't have to, if we want to look at it in that way. And yeah, absolutely. It's like, we don't look to anyone. We did it ourselves. And, BJ, it's not he's tooting his own horn, but in a way he is. And we need to know this history of how much work went into this, right? I have my outline marked to just that next paragraph, and then going on. But if you want to read some other things in there, I'm okay with it.
Now, I think that we want to be clear that he's not saying that he's saying that they're being scientific about it, but their science is being focused is being done with the interest of being aware of the living body, whereas other people look at science from a different perspective as being the primary issue that they're looking at. And so but we're doing good science here, is what he says.
And we're looking at the spirit. It's the triune. And, instead of just being a static body or one portion of a thing, looking at all of it, trying to measure innate, the neurotempograph. I mean, that's what he's talking about, trying to take that into consideration. You can't, you know what? We're going right back into quantum physics, really. That's where we're really talking about. You can't hold, the hold all other things constant does not apply in reality, right? And I remember being in science class, you're doing equations with all things constant. There are no constants, doesn't make sense. So your entire theory is flawed. He's trying to bring that life, the human factor into this. And measure it. I think it's amazing, since the beginning. It's not, he didn't just think of it last week and taking credit for it. We're talking a lifetime of work here, right? Two lifetimes of work.
So I'm going to go through some more of this page here. The typograph was an instrument developed by us to locate, pinpoint the place of interference in a living sick person, measure pre and post, calibrate and evaluate the flow between brain and body, innate and function. We backed up to one of our earliest research studies, visualize superior brain and inferior body Merrick systems. The average chiropractor knew some things about the inferior Merrick system in the distribution of nerves from spinal column to different organic sections and organs of the body below. Superior Merrick system was a study of sections and locations of these sections of brain with their continuity nerve branches from brain as they lead down to and into the spinal cord, passing outward through intervertebral foramina to various organic structures of the organic body below. We mapped superior brain divisions, which corresponded with body divisions below through a continuity efferent nerve system, as well as the return nerves below with a continuity of afferent system, returning back to the brain, proving there was a direct and continuous flow of mental impulse supply from each section of the brain to body and from body back to brain, develop a continuity nerve system through which innate not only sent forth functional impulse, but also innate received an afferent return message telling it whether the efferent function may impulse had done its duty in the body at and to the place or places it was intended to perform its function. So that's the safety pin cycle.
That's the safety pin cycle, explained by B.J. Palmer. You know, that's beautiful, and
that's why I noted that there. Yeah,
yeah, that's really good. You know, where he put more love into it in the explanation. You know, the safety pin cycle, I do believe, is from Palmer's Laws of Life. I know it's in there. I don't know how early the safety pin cycle is. I don't know if anybody else does.
Well, it's in Stevenson.
It's in Stevenson. Okay.
So it's there in 27.
Yeah. I don't know. How early?
Yeah.
I can't remember what Laws of Life, what year that one is, actually, on the top of my head. That's another one to do on here. The one thing, there are so many diagrams, it might be a little bit hard to do in a podcast. You know what I mean? But we can try. I wouldn't mind going to that after this one. But
that might involve, you know, we need to talk about it offline. That might involve taking pictures and being able to put up share screen stuff.
Yeah, we need to call our IT guys, Dwayne.
That's another story. So
the Law of Life is in 58.
58. So it's fairly recent in there. So I'm sure it was well before that. So the 20s at Stevenson's for sure, like you said. Thank you. Well, I have this one paragraph next on page 37 I marked, just about, you know, really just kind of bragging about BJ, the typograph instrumentation, which its many evolutions in development cost around $100,000. 30 years of concentrated study and application, night and day, constantly seeking answers to hitherto unknown problems we raised into unknown and original fields. I mean, $100,000 and blood, sweat, and tears of really trying to measure innate intelligence, really, right? So we can do proper experimentation and taking that factor into what we do, measuring life. I mean, it's incredible because we don't do it. And you think about it, in the modern, what we call modern medicine or whatever it is, has never taken that into a factor, really, or they take it in a factor and they disregard it. Who knows? I don't know. All right, where do you want to go next?
Well, that's a tough one because the whole rest of the section here is all supposes about, you know, what if other people were doing this stuff, and
which we've done that before with him. You know, we did it in the beginning of this book, right? So I think we should skip over that a little bit. Because, you know, I think about, suppose if BJ would have done one of his experiments, who knows? Or one of those things is really, suppose if we would have asked permission or pause or, hey, check over my work because you're a medical guy, you know, but we knew that we knew that we knew. I have that written knowing right across the top of this page and the last page. We know it. And yeah, I respect that, but we don't need to read it all. I'm all the way on page 41, the second paragraph down, what is basically wrong is where I have marked next, but you might have something else.
No, I'm good to go there.
Okay.
What is basically wrong and why? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
Because what he's talking about what a subluxation is and giving a mechanism. And I don't know, I thought it was a good description, really, you know?
What is basically wrong and why when we say the arm is paralyzed, hangs helpless, or refuses to be moved at the direction of educated or innate direction? Answer is simple. Muscles are paralyzed. Why? Because they're not getting their par quantity of force or power through the nerves to make it possible for muscles to contract and relax at direction of educated individual or the innate beyond his control. Why? Because there's interference to the flow of par power between the brain, where power is generated for arm, and thus is not reaching muscles in arm. Once that interference is located and corrected, power will flow of its own volition from above down, inside out, in normal quantity to muscles of the arm, and normal use will be reestablished. Same is true of all other diseased, paralyzed functions of other portions of the body, including softer internal organs. If brain generated 100% flows to all muscles of arm, normal motion control exists. If interference between brain and arm via nerve en route is reduced 50%, muscles receive only 50%, and muscles are paralyzed 50%, depending upon which nerve fibers and how many are under interference going to arm. Nothing entered externally from outside in, below, upward to this physiological and functionally paralyzed arm can supplement and replace that which flows from above down, inside out. All medical methods can do is stimulate 50% power and 50% of paralyzed motion of muscles that are present, attempting to increase both absent factors to a normal one. As well, try to stimulate with similar methods to and from outside in, below, upward, wires, and electrical globe to increase abnormal reduced light to normal 100% increased light.
You know, that's the analogy of the subluxation, right? Again, it's, safety pin cycle and that connection of explaining it. And in a way, today I had 3 people tell me they're planning surgery. And I haven't had 3 people in a row. I don't know if ever in the same day people have told me that. It was just like blows to my ego, I have to say. And, it's not up to me.
It's not about you. Don't take it personally.
It's not about me. It's not up to me. It's not about me. And I love them and I serve them and I'm going to give them everything I've got. But one thing is, it's about the message too. I've done everything I can to communicate. I'm just sitting here thinking of BJ talking to a lay person and trying to get it through the cranium, And that's what I was sort of thinking about while you were reading, Alan, because I feel like I've talked to death with these people, but it's their life and it's not up to me or us or any chiropractor. We serve them. But I don't know, that's what came to mind today, just now with that. How's everything going with everybody here? What's been new with you in the world of chiropractic and communicating chiropractic? It's our most important thing that we do is communicate it. And whether it's at the grocery store or wherever, I just thought of BJ, while you're reading, I just thought of BJ just talking chiropractic somewhere. Look, if your arm can't move, why do you think your arm can't move? Because the nerve supply is cut off. How do you get your arm to move again? Take the nerve supply and get it back into functioning order. Come and get adjusted. Same with your heart and your liver, your pancreas. It's why you got ulcers, whatever it might be. I just saw him on the soapbox. Can't you understand me? And it's the way I felt today. I have to admit it. Yes, I took it personally, and it's not for a moment. But then I blessed the surgeon's hands. Surgeon's hands are guided by God. That's your choice and decision. I know, everything will go as divinely perfect as it can be. Instead of, you shouldn't do it, right? You understand that.
You can't do that.
Can't do that.
That's not your job.
No,
it's not your job.
Not my job.
It's one of the things that, when I was at Sherman a long time ago, they used to talk about, you don't actually necessarily want to refer to the medical doctor. You say you may choose to have somebody else talk to the orthopedist about this, but not necessarily say go.
Yeah.
You know, it's their choice what they want to follow on.
Yeah.
Say, I'm seeing something here. You may want to have it evaluated further.
Yeah. Well, today I had there's a woman I've been caring for and horrible sciatic pain, and she's probably 85 pounds wet, small woman, but very athletic, right? And horrible sciatica. And she was playing doubles tennis and ran into a much bigger woman, and she got knocked flat on the ground, right? So she went back, and ever since then she's had vertigo, and I've been adjusting her for about a week. And then it's the same, it's this one of the stories is, I'm trying chiropractic and it hasn't worked. I'm like, you've been here 3 times, right? You've had the problem for most of your life and got worse the last 2 months. And she decided she's going to have surgery, but the surgery is not going to be for about 5 months. So we've got a lot of time. And when she said I thought her surgery was tomorrow, and she's like, oh, well, it's in about 5 months. I thought, perfect.
That's because, you've only had 3 visits with her. She's not going to fully adopt our paradigm.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But you say, you know what, until your date of surgery, let's continue to work on this and get you ready at least. A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still until they experience the new paradigm, and that has given you the time. If you said, well, if you're going to get surgery, I don't want to take care of you anymore, you're no longer welcome in the office, you've lost them.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But there are chiropractors that will do that.
Oh, yeah, I bet there are. Absolutely. And you just keep loving them. And, I always think of this, God made that appointment 5 months from now. She didn't make that appointment 5 months from now, or the doctor didn't do it. And that gives us it's 5 months to really help transform her life to this paradigm.
And she may not need the surgery 5 months from now.
What's that?
And she may not need the surgery 5 months from now.
That's the whole point. Exactly. Yeah. And then she may. I don't know, because I don't know what her body's actually healing, right? We do the adjustment. I move the bone. It's not up to me. Her whole life.
I had a guy come in that had carpal tunnel, and he was a waiter, and he'd already had surgery scheduled when he came in to see me. And I mean, I think I adjusted him twice and it went away. He says, the surgery is going to cost me $17,000. I said, send me the check.
Yeah. Absolutely. I take credit card. I'll pay the fees on that one.
Yeah, it's weird the way it works sometimes.
Well, it's a joy, and everything is correct, and it's divinely in the perfect moment. Even though we second guess it, no matter what it is, it's divinely right. And you know what? We don't know what lies around the corner or what the next step will be. But you know what? That came up a lot today too. People got stuck behind a lot of trains today and red lights people were talking about, which people don't normally complain about very much. And that came up all the time. That was divinely perfect for you. If you wouldn't have gotten to that train or that red light, you might have been in an accident. Who knows? You're divinely kept in that moment. Well, should we move on?
Yeah, I don't know that there's much else in this section.
I skip over from there to about where we're the last suppose is pretty good on 45 with the A's.
Okay.
Investigated secret scientific recesses. There
is it sort of sums it up, I think.
Yeah, kind of, right.
Okay. I think I had one thing marked at the top of 44 where it says, instead of trying to fit chiropractic to the pattern of science, we must get science to fit to the pattern of chiropractic. Instead of chiropractors trying to think the way science needs to think, instead of chiropractors trying to think the way of science, science needs to think the way of chiropractic.
Yeah.
So until our leaders grasp the big idea, all else follows is doomed.
I'm circling that.
I think that's something
That's a good one
to think about. So to skip then over to the top of 45, where we're at, suppose medical researchers accept our request and proceed with their investigation. Here is a sample of their first report. Your very existence, your foundation and basic starting and ending in all things you do is based on the living innate intelligence, which to your profession is all its alpha and omega. We have searched far and wide, investigated secret scientific recesses. We have gone into our exhaustless labs. We have looked into high-powered microscopes, the clinical thermometer, whether high or low. We have taken cardiographs by thousands. Blood pressures is a regular necessity. We have taken blood counts and studied reds and whites, taking urinalysis regular compulsion. We have formulated endless chemical tests. We have captured elements in test tubes. We have taken exhaustless X-ray films and studied them deeply. We have fluoroscoped sick living patients. Another typo.
This is
I
libing.
hadn't marked them, and I like marking them in the book for myself. We have, quote, in large print again, have endeavored to capture this elusive and delusive innate intelligence you talk so much about. And we, in the end of it, all scientific instrumentation, we come to the unalterable conviction that there is no scientific evidence which could formulate the presence of innate intelligence in living bodies, sick or well. The reason is simple. You cannot use the above substance or material methods to convert an abstract innate intelligence into physical forms. Your non-scientific fantasy of existence of an all-important innate intelligence in living bodies is a myth. Fiction and fabulous subterfuge, you grasp imaginations of credulous sick people. Your non-scientific philosophy has no merit. Your science is based on existence of a vertebral subluxation, which we could and did see on x-rays, but you also said it interfered with the flow of innate mental impulse, par quantity flow, none of which we could scientifically prove in any of our labs.
One right there.
So he's, he's saying you give it to them to do with their science, and this is what they're going to say.
Mm-hmm. And
we can't find it. Saying? It ain't real.
What are even chiropractors saying right now is exactly what he states on the top of 46. That's what you hear from the evidence-based. Show me your evidence-based stuff. There's no such thing as a subluxation with nerve interference with innate, right?
I think there was a discussion of that on one of the Facebook pages today that somebody posted something from ACA or something, and
well, that was with the AMA. Someone was rebroadcasting the ACA. I didn't listen to that, but it was the fight against the AMA. The audio of that, somebody, whatever that gentleman was.
Chester Wilk died today, or Chester I think it's
Wilk.
I don't know if he died today or if he's in hospice and not expected to live much longer.
Well, God bless him for his work. Thank him. So, but that was that statement sort of ran it home for me. I think that's
why we've done our research, because this is what they're going to say.
This is what they're going to say. We already know what they're going to say. He's already lived all this for all these years. He dies right around this time, right after he finishes this. He knows what the naysayers are and what they're going to say, and the medical men and everything else. And you know what? People are repeating that statement just now. I mean, it's ridiculous. It truly is. So the supposes, you had some more suppose, and I moved that one. Now is the beginning. Laying a new foundation is the next chapter. I think it's kind of a good place where we'll pick up next time at the beginning of a new chapter. But, going back to what we use this for, why do we do this? How can we make this practical? And it's really having that confidence, just like I wrote on here, knowing that we know that we know that we know that it works. It's obvious. It is. We have felt it in ourselves. And if I feel a change from being subluxated, being adjusted, and here, the illusion of evidence. Is this what it is here, Dwayne?
That's a recent British Medical Journal article on how bad evidence-based medicine really is.
Oh gosh, I like that.
So
okay, I downloaded it. Are you on the Synapse Philosophy page on Facebook?
Probably.
Is there any way you can post that on there?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, or somewhere.
Gosh.
Oh, I have it right here.
So
I
much.
downloaded it. But that's pretty neat. Illusions of evidence-based. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Well, but being practical with these things of communication, we just had an awesome student, not a student, she just graduated and she came in and hung out for the day to see if we're a good fit. And I think we will be. We'll see what happens. But, you know, one of the things we have to do is give the confidence to our new chiropractors and helping them along that way. Because even the teachers in the schools, not all the schools, but it was even when I was in school, that teachers didn't believe in chiropractic. They didn't want to hear about it and they didn't want to talk about it, blah, blah, blah. And some people are jaded and some people are tired. But it seems like there's a lot more of it now. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think we just really need to nurture. We really need to nurture our young and up and coming chiropractors. That's for sure. I don't have anything else for tonight. Anybody? I think we did a lot of work just now, and there was a lot of good information there. And this is a perfect place to start up next time on page 48 on this.
There's a fair amount of stuff in the next 4 pages that I have marked anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, we can save it. Okay.
Sure.
There's a lot of good stuff in here. I want to take time. We'll digest this.
Sounds like a plan.
Awesome. Dwayne, I'm so happy you joined us. I like your new haircut. You're really handsome like that. Carol, it's always great to see you. And same with you, Alan. We had a good night tonight. I liked it. I'm going to have a little more chamomile tea next time I'm on here again. I feel like it got me a little jam.
What's the story with Dave? He hasn't been around lately. Do you hear from him?
I haven't heard from him as much. I'll probably see him at DE this weekend. We're teaching innate adjusting at DE on Saturday morning for the CE credits. And but I'm excited about that one. But
tell him I asked for him. Tell him I miss him on these calls.
I'm going to tell him. I'm going to stomp on his foot and say, where the hell you been, boy? No, but you got to be a little Jersey, right, Carol? I mean, I gotta put it on a little bit. But yeah, we'll have a nice time. I'll see. I'll probably see him. If not, you know what? Good for a reminder. Send him a text too, for sure. Or call him. All right, ladies and gentlemen, people around the world that listen in, you know, God bless you. And I thank God for chiropractic. Amen.
Amen.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.